Alright, just to update everyone, I pushed everything up to the COMP525 UNH organization. That's the one for the class here, and we have this repository called flashcard. I push all the changes up right now, and you're going to start to see all the changes reflect here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this second project repository. So I'm going to go over here and settings, come down here to delete, and just type in the name of the repository. That's going to delete it. Alright. So the one you saw in the last couple of videos, it doesn't exist anymore. You should be working or referencing this COMP525 UNH, the flashcard repository. Alright. And I had already updated prior to this video my remotes, so if I do git remote -view or -v, you'll see now my origins point to the COMP525 UNH flashcard repository. So, like always, the very first thing is we want to git pull origin master. I had some updates, but now my local machine is up to date with the most current software. What I want to do now is I want to create the model that we're going to use, this flashcard model. And if you remember, we had previously kind of talked about this, how this is how our app's going to work. We're going to have a model, which is, you know, a specific data structure, part of our database here. A model called deck. These are also called classes, if you will. We'll get to that. But a model called deck. And that's going to represent a deck of flashcards. Each flashcard, or excuse me, each deck is going to have a title. And let's see, we also talked about that here. Each flashcard deck is going to have a title, so we'll have a deck for like Python data structures, maybe one for a programming interview. Alright, we already kind of went over that, so I don't want to beat a dead horse. But let's create this right now. Now the reference that you should be looking at for models is, if you can just Google Django models, and it should be one of the first ones that pops up, but here we go. Docs.djangoproject.com, and you can go through here and find the documentation on models. So I'm going to kind of go off this example. This is for a person, obviously, but we can just kind of look at this and visualize what we're going to change. Obviously, we don't want to call our class a person. We want it to be a deck. We only need one title right here, that being, well, one attribute, that being a title. And this is a character field. So yeah, we will name it a character field too, because essentially a title is nothing more than a string collection of characters. So let's build this. Alright, let me do Python manage.3, run the server. We don't really need to. I, for some reason, like to have my server running in the background. I don't know. It's like my security blanket or something. I don't know. It just makes me feel good. Alright, so let's go in here and in my flashcard application, I want to open models.py. And you'll see it already kind of has that from up at the top, the from django.db import models. So let's build our first model, and you know what we're going to do? We're going to copy and paste this in here. Django's example of a model. Alright. Now, the only reason I'm copy and pasting this is so that you kind of get used to referencing the documentation, because there's so much good stuff in here. And it's going to clear up a bunch of questions that I can't clear up just from, you know, a video of me talking to you, essentially me lecturing you. If you look through the document, you run into a problem, Google, look on Stack Overflow, and look at the documentation, you'll probably find it. So we have the class deck. It is a subclass of models.model. We've imported that models right there. Those two link together. You probably haven't seen a class data structure yet, but you'll get used to it real fast. Alright, so we said we just really don't need a first name. We don't need a last name because we're not doing a person. We just really need a title of type string. Well, the way you do strings in Django, as far as classes go, is models.char field, character field. Max length of 30. Sure, whatever. Let's just bump that. Yeah, whatever. We'll leave it at 30. Max length of 30. We can always change this later if we want. Alright, so now that we've done that, let's go down here. Let's do a syntax check. So manage.py check. Looks like it worked. Let's run our server. Yeah, that's the wrong command. Python 3 manage.py run server. I hop back and forth a lot between Windows and Linux and, different environment setups, so my syntax, sometimes I get a little bit confused. Okay, so we got this going. Let's go ahead and let's go into our admin panel. Let me fire up a browser here. Home. Let's go into admin up here. Let's log in. And we're not seeing that here. We're not seeing the ability to add, edit, delete, flashcard decks. If you remember, I think we did this back when we were doing the first project, is we need to register it in the admin.py. So we do admin.site.register, and we're going to say deck. Now remember, we're referencing something. Django doesn't know what it is. Python doesn't know what it is. So we need to, from .models, import deck. So far, server seems to be running just fine. And let's go ahead and refresh that. And there it is. So deck, no such table, flashcard.deck. Yep, that's because, let's do this. We created a model. We edited the database essentially. So what we need to do is run make migrations and then migrate. And that's essentially going to, as you can see, it applied that migration, applied those changes that we just made into the database. So now that our database, this is saying there wasn't a table for the deck. Well, now that we did that, let's go ahead and see if we get that again. Have to run the server. And refresh this. There's our deck. Let's click that. Now we can add decks. So let's add one and just call this one, what we said, Python data structures. And the deck object was created. Deck object. So we want this to be human readable. So let's go ahead and change that real fast. Back into our models underneath the deck class. We're going to put a function inside the deck class called 2_str_string. It takes a self. I hope my syntax is right here, and let's just return title. Let's see if this works. So far it's looking good. The server isn't yelling at me. And so title is not defined. Yep, again my syntax, return self.title. So go into myself, my class, and return the title. Refresh that, and there it is. Now it says Python data structures. It's better display. It's more human readable. Click on that. We could always edit this if we wanted to. We can delete it. We can add more. We can save. We can do all sorts of cool stuff, right? All right, so that about sums it up for adding this model. So just remember, at the end of the work day, if you will, whenever we're done, I'm going to say get add. I'm going to say get commit. I'm not sure what video this would be. Maybe 14. Yeah, I'll call it 14. Yeah, we'll just call it flashcard deck model. Get push origin being my remote, master being the branch. And go over here to our, too many windows open. There we go, COMP525 UNH flashcard app. So here's our flashcard. Now you can see our changes here in the models. Alright, see you guys in the next video. Thanks for sticking with me.